Hello guys, welcome back. My name is Nathan and today I'm going to be discussing Bob McKenzie's final NHL draft rankings for the 2020 NHL draft. Now the highly anticipated Bob McKenzie draft rankings have been officially released for the 2020 draft. There is some big surprises but also some things that we didn't know about. Now he released his top 93 prospects with 7 honorable mentions, and there is a lot to go over here. So, how does Bob McKenzie see this 2020 draft, and what are his draft rankings for the 2020 NHL entry draft? Watch till the end for all the rankings and my thoughts, and of course, hit that big red subscribe button for more videos just like this one. Now, the first thing to note when it comes to Bob McKenzie's rankings is that they're not actually Bob McKenzie's rankings. He pulled 10 different NHL scouts to get a consensus on what this draft might look like. And I think when it comes to Bob McKenzie's rankings, it's more so an indicator of what the draft will look like at the actual draft day rather than actually just a random draft order. This gets a big idea on which scouts like which players and how high these guys might go. And that's why it's always so interesting to see these draft rankings, because in this top 31, at least with the first round, there is some big ones. Of course, Alexis Lafreniere will be the #1 guy here, but at number 2, it's been highly debated whether it be Quinton, Byfield, or Tim Stutzle, and I was expecting Byfield to be 2 here, but Tim Stutzle ended up being 2nd in these rankings. At number 3, you have Quinton Byfield. Number 4 is Jamie Drysdale. Number 5 is Cole Perfetti. Number 6 is Lucas Raymond. Number 7 is Marco Rossi. Number 8 is Jake Sanderson. Number 9 is Alexander Holtz. And number 10 is Jack Quinn. And of course, besides Tim Stutzle at number 2, there is some big surprises there. You have Cole Perfetti at number 5, 2 spots ahead of Marco Rossi. You have Jake Sanderson, number 8, being inside the top 10, which gives us a good idea on how valued a guy like Jake Sanderson is and the likelihood of them going top 8. I could totally see that, and with him being number 8 of Bob McKenzie's rankings, I really don't see him going outside the top 10 in this 2020 draft. But the interesting picks do not stop there. You have Yaroslav Askarov at number 11, Anton Lundell at number 12, Dawson Mercer at number 13, Kaden Guhle at number 14, the 3rd ranked defenseman on this list. Then you have Henrik Slapierre at number 15, which was really surprising having the concussions he had. I thought he would slip quite a bit in this ranking. And number 16, Dylan Holloway, number 17, Braden Schneider, number 18, Seth Jarvis, number 19, Rodion Amirov, and number 20, Lucas Reichel. Now, there are some guys that moved up quite a bit that I didn't expect, and some guys that I thought would move down or more a lot more. I thought Seth Jarvis would be a lot higher in this list. Same thing with a guy like Dawson Mercer, who I could have seen maybe reaching for that top 10. But you have some guys who I thought would have dropped a little bit more, like Anton Lundell. I see him as a top 10 prospect, but I kind of expect him to be more in the 15 range. But you also got really unexpected guys like Henrik Slapierre touching that top 15, who again I thought would be a lot lower. You have Dylan Holloway, who I thought would be a lot lower. You also have Braden Schneider, who I think would kind of be in where the Kaden Guhle range is right now. I thought he was going to be top 15, and being at number 17 was a little bit surprising. Now, filling out the rest of the first round, there are some surprises, but also not too many, I would say. The first surprise, though, being Jacob Perreault at number 21. I expected him to be a little bit higher. Same thing with a guy like Maverick Bourque at 26. But you have some guys that I kind of expected to be in that range. Connor Zary, John Jason Peterka, I would say. You also have Noel Gunler at 28, who I see as a top 15 prospect 100%, but he was around that 25 range in the midseason rankings, so I'm not all too surprised by him being there. But you have at the end of the first round Tyson Forrester at 29, Brisson at 30, and Jake Neighbors at 31. Neighbors especially surprised me. To me, I don't see anything that's really all that great about his game. I think he's a solid player, but in the first round, especially over guys like Marat Kuznetsov, I just don't see it. And that leads me to pretty much, in my opinion, a disastrous second round. Now again, these aren't Bob McKenzie's rankings, these are scout rankings consolidated. So these are a good idea of where these prospects, in terms of NHL consensus, are on draft rankings. But to be honest, this second round, it features some absolute steals and some insane reaches. Now starting out with the first few picks, you have Helge Grans at 32. I have him ranked in the 20s. I see him as a much better player than that. You have Jeremy Poirier at number 33, which I kind of expected to be a little bit lower, but I'm glad to see him that high. You also have Jan Mysak at number 34, who outside the first round will be an absolute steal. Same thing with Marat Kuznetsov. I'm not quite as high on Kuznetsov as I am on Mysak, but still, two excellent players that should not be outside the top 31. But then you have the next few picks, which are just straight confusing. You have Tyler Kleven at 36, who he could basically only hit. He can't even play defense like a guy like Jake Sanderson can, and he's ahead of a guy like Topi Nemula or Ryan O'Rourke, two defensemen who I think are much more complete than him. And then you have guys like Ty Shmilanich and Luke Tuck, two USA guys in the 30s and 40s respectively, who I don't see being that good. But you also have the legend and the meme himself, Shakir McMadulan, who has one of the worst IQs I've ever seen through a top draft prospect, a guy who I pretty much have outside my top 100. I just don't see anything in his game that really will entice me too much. And having him at 43, man, or 42, I can't even right now. But the confusing picks to me just keep on coming, because you have guys like Damon Hunt at 44, Will Cooley at 45, a guy who, if he tried to skate, couldn't because he can't skate. And then you have other guys in this list that are just confusing to me. You have Daniel Torgerson at 53, and you have Ronnie Hirvonen at 54. I like Torgerson, but I see him kind of as a middle of the net, kind of slot area clogger who just tries to tip in pucks all the time. To me, Ronnie Hirvonen is a much more complete player, and in terms of NHL readiness, is a lot more likely to make the NHL level. But you also have guys that I just can't justify. You have so many other prospects, especially in the 70s range, that simply need to be higher. Now, I will give some credit where it is due, because there is some prospects here that do deserve the high praise they're getting. You have Brett Berard at 68, who I didn't expect to be that high. You also got Eamon Powell, Ian Moore, who I think are in a pretty good range. But then you get into those mid-70s where it just kind of all falls off the rails even more to me. You have Zion Nybeck at 73, which I personally kind of expected to be even a little bit lower, but I see him as a first-round prospect despite his size and excellent offensive mind. But then you have my boy, my man, Zayde Wisdom at 77 behind a guy like Antonio Stranges. I don't know how the heck that happens. To me, Zayde Wisdom is a second-round prospect for sure, a guy that just has so much determination that he's basically going to will his way to the NHL level, and having him at 77, man, that's just straight up disrespectful. And there's some other picks in this range that also confused me right after Zayde Wisdom. At number 78, they have Kasper Samontoval, which I don't know how you could have him so low. It doesn't even process for me. But you have guys like Landon Slaggert, who I think should be that high. Again, credit where credit is due. And then when you get into the honorable mention section, which is right after the top 93. These guys, there's 7 players who will be in the 94 to 100 range. And there's a couple of guys that I just couldn't believe were this low. First off, you have Tristan Robbins, who I am a huge fan of from the Saskatoon Blades of the WHL. I thought he was going to be a lot higher, maybe even in the second round. I personally have him as a second round prospect, but he was one of the biggest risers throughout this year, and I expected him to be a lot higher. And you also have William Villeneuve, who was so good in the QMJHL for the St. John Sea Dogs, and I thought was a great player, who was a lot more complete than even Jeremy Poirier, who I like quite a bit. And just to see him in the honorable mentions where he has such a solid, great offensive mind, I just can't really see that whatsoever. And I mean, looking at some of the defensemen right after him, I just can't believe it. But at the same time, I'm not really surprised by these rankings too much. I'm kind of feeling like I'm surprised in this video, but I'm not really, because a lot of the prospects that I see as big reaches are guys that scouts have been high on for a long time. Shakir McMadulan, who, again, I just don't see too much talent in besides his skating, I guess. But you got guys in the first round like Caden Goulet at number 14, who I don't even see as a top 32 prospect. I just don't see that kind of talent in a guy like that. But at the same time, a lot of these guys who have more defensive ability have gotten a lot higher in this list. But you have a guy like Will Cooley at number 40 or 45, who basically all he does is hit and fight, and the guy can't skate. So if you're taking him over a guy like Ronnie Hirvonen, good luck with that. Oh, and also, if you're a team that, let's say, had like a bunch of third-round picks and a bunch of fourth-round picks, you might be doing pretty well this draft. Just a heads up. But that'll be it for today's video. Thanks so much for watching, y'all. If you guys enjoy, make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and ring that notification bell if you haven't already. Comment down below your thoughts on Bob McKenzie's rankings. What do you agree and disagree with? And what are your biggest takeaways from this ranking? Of course, share this video with your friends. Get it out there, boys. And click on this card right here to watch all of my hockey prospect rankings right in one playlist. My name is Nathan, and I'll see you guys next video or stream. Love y'all. Have a good one. Goodbye.